Hey, this is Michael Emery. Thanks for tuning into the Slow Baja. This podcast is powered by Tequila Fortaleza, handmade in small batches and hands down my favorite tequila. Well, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know I'm an absolute minimalist when it comes to Baja travel. But the one thing I never leave home without is a good old paper map. And my favorite is the beautiful, and I mean beautiful, Baja Road and Recreation Atlas by Benchmark Maps. It's an oversized 72-page book, jam-packed with details, and now you can get it from me at slowbaja.com. That's right. You can get it in the Slow Baja shop, and in fact, you better get two. One for your trip planning at home and one for your Baja rig. And if you love maps and you can't get enough of them like me, let me tell you about two sites I am absolutely obsessed with. Eastview MapLink and longitudemaps.com. Whatever you're looking for in maps, it's there. From the entire Benchmark collection to Baja wall maps to custom maps, you'll find it all at longitudemaps.com or evmaplink.com. You know, I've long said it, ask your doctor if Baja's right for you. Well, if you've been hankering to get down to Slow Baja with me, you got to check out the Adventures tab at slowbaja.com. All my trips are there, from my famed fall vintage extravaganza to my winter and summer expeditions, which are open to trucks of any age. You know, on a Slow Baja expedition, your meals are always included, which really does take the sting out of camping. And when we get off the trail, let me tell you, we have the happiest of happy hours. If good dirt roads, private campsites, ranch stays, great food, and great people sounds like your kind of fun, well, you got to check out the Adventures tab at slowbaja.com. But don't delay. These trips are small, they're highly immersive, and they will sell out. And folks, just so you know, I am always here for you for your Baja trip planning questions. One question, 100 questions. The easy way to get me is slowbaja.com/contact. And if you'd like to go to Baja and you don't want to go by yourself, you don't have a vintage vehicle, my winter trip doesn't work out for you, I am happy to talk to you about organizing and leading a private guided tour. I've done it. I've loved it. The pictures are over there at slowbaja.com/adventures, and you can check them out. And if you've got some questions, let's talk. Thanks for tuning in to today's Slow Baja. Maybe you can tell from the sound of this recording, I am not in the Sheelman recording booth today. I am mobile. I'm just back from a week in Baja doing some pre-running for the Slow Baja Winter Expedition, and I am actually in the car. I'm heading up to North Dakota to see my in-laws. That's right, snowy North Dakota, about as far as you can get from Baja and still be in the United States. And I don't know if you can hear that. That's Frank. That's Frank, my dog, whining that he wants to get going. He doesn't want to be sitting here with me recording this right now. But I'm so thankful as we head into the season, and I just want to share a few things with you that I am grateful for. I've got some guys who are volunteers on my Slow Baja vintage trip. Edgar, JP, and Yvonne, they're fluid on both sides of the border from Tijuana, now living in the States, and they've started Bikes for Baja. They teamed up with the Baja Bound Foundation so you can make a tax-deductible donation, but it's a pretty simple idea. They round up bicycles from all over Southern California, donate bicycles. They get them fixed up, and then they put them in the hands of people who are truly in need, people who have no transportation at all, zero transportation, people who are walking miles to school or to work. JP was telling me a story about an 80-year-old man who burst into tears when he got his bicycle so he can get to work faster and get home faster and be with his family more. 80 years old, he got his first bicycle. Bikes for Baja, amazing group, link in the show notes. All right, well, today's show is with Doug and Shannon Miller, and they're doing amazing work as well. Great family. I've had them on Slow Baja before. It was kind of a loud, busy interview. We were in Ensenada during Nora, and there's all sorts of street noise and chopping of tacos and such in the background. But this conversation, we had a chance to see them at their home in Oregon. I was up there for Overland Expo Pacific Northwest. And Noah and I sat down with them. Noah was on the camera and I was in front of the camera, and we recorded this interview. And Doug and Shannon are just beautiful people. They've been called to serve, and do they serve? They serve with all their heart and with all their family. And now Shannon is the executive director of World's Children. And anyways, we'll get into all of that in today's Slow Baja. Hey, Slow Baja. We're in Sisters, Oregon. I'm at your house. Doug and Shannon Miller making their second appearance on the Slow Baja podcast. A lot quieter this trip. We don't have the chopping of the tacos behind us. We don't have the buses or the motos. But it's really a delight to see you two and have to see you two again, because I just saw you at Overland Expo, and to have this moment to really kind of catch up on what you're doing, what's going on with your family. And I was so taken, Shannon, by your talk at Overland Expo about giving back while traveling. I'd really like to take a deep dive. Feel free to cover everything we covered previously. Nobody listens to that old stuff. So I really want to just talk about, your family, your approach to parenting, which is astonishing and wonderful. How you got to Baja, how Baja really changed your lives, and then just seeing Parker speak so eloquently at the round table. 19 years old, you told me he was scattered and this and that. Comes in looking pretty hip, dressed, definitely as his own person, and then he just speaks so deeply from the heart. It just kind of brought tears to my eyes, honestly. Yeah. So, Doug, Shannon, delightful to see you. Talk to me a little bit about that. Let's jump into that first trip. You're heading down to Baja, and you have kids in a minivan packed to the gills, and one, am I correct in this, fresh out of open heart surgery?
No, that's our second trip.
That's the second trip. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, again, like I was speaking to a guy after my Baja 101 lecture, and he says, Baja, is it good? Would you recommend it for kids? And I thought immediately about you guys. So take it away, Shannon. That first trip, truck packed to the gills, minivan packed to the gills, kids wetting themselves, insanity, flat tires. Let's cover it all. All right.
Yeah. So when we got married, I had never even really considered or thought about Baja ever. But Doug had a friend who had gone to Baja in college, and so had always had kind of this dream of going down to Baja. And so I don't even know what caused us to decide to go with a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old. But we
totally logical.
Yep, over Christmas. But we decided to go on a week, 10 days.
It was about 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah. And we talked friends into going with us who had slightly older kids. And so we took 2 kids in diapers to Baja, tent camping. Packed to the gills. We would stick them in their car seats and then stick stuff all around them because we had so much stuff. And I was kind of scared of Baja, honestly.
Sure.
Packed like boxed milk and all canned fruit, and was like, we're not going to eat anything because you hear about people getting like stomach bugs and all these different things. And it was chaos, but we fell in love with it. So I don't think we slept at all, because Parker, who was a year and a half at that point, would roll over us in the tent because he got so excited about seeing stars. So he'd yell stars and roll and then roll again. And he would wet the car seat.
Yeah, so I don't want to throw Parker under the bus here, but he seems like he's recovered from this period in his life.
Yes.
Pick it up. He put up with a lot on that trip.
Yeah. So we would line both of their car seats with a garbage bag, a towel, a garbage bag, a towel, because we weren't quite sure where we would have a place to stop to change diapers, which worked out pretty well, actually. And then Doug would oftentimes be like,
A Mother's Guide to Baja, Shannon Miller.
Doug would be taking sleeping bags into the Sea of Cortez to rinse them. Because they sometimes would be wet at night. And so it was crazy, but it was so fun. And just the sunrises and sunsets with kids and the simplicity of all of it, that we could just make all these memories with them, was worth every second of the hard stuff, for sure.
Well, I had a family experience with the minivan, 2 2-year-olds and a 4-year-old, and a flat tire on day one. And I remember you had a seminal flat tire early on your trip, and my wife freaked out. Like, we were on a dirt road that's half mile long, San Catine, had a night in a stinky hotel, driving up to the main road, and we've got a flat. And I said, all right, well, as soon as I change the tire, there will be a tire repair shop within a mile of the road. They're everywhere. We'll get that tire patched and we'll be fine. And we never had another flat tire. And 2001, I'm going to say it, 24 years later, I've never had a flat tire.
Seriously?
Never. I have never personally had
We have
another.
had so many flat tires.
I don't know. I carry glue tread. Andy, if you're listening, and Amy from Glue Tread, I carry a glue tread. God bless it, I haven't had to use it, but pick it up. You had a very, unnerving experience of early in the trip you had a flat tire.
Yeah. Early in our trip, we were traveling kind of in the Valle, in the Guadalupe Valley area, and just so nervous, and everything just feels uncomfortable and almost threatening when you're first down there and not knowing what to expect. And so, we got a flat tire in our minivan, and of course, kids in there loaded like crazy. And so we just had to pull over off the side of a highway in a gravel spot. And I think getting out of the car in that situation, being so fresh in Baja, it just felt really vulnerable, and all these fears kind of came. And it wasn't long before a car pulled over with some Mexicans in it. And I'll admit, at first I didn't know what to do with that. But what they were doing is they were checking to make sure we were okay and offering their help. And
mindset check.
Yeah.
I mean,
and suddenly, their mindset just does a 180, and you realize, we're part of a community that are helping. And so we spent some time there getting the tire changed, and then we had to figure out what to do with the flat tire. So do you want to share the rest of that?
Sure.
story?
So we didn't make it to where we thought we were going to camp that night.
Of course.
But
Intro to Baja.
Yeah, on the map,
Hold
paper
your
map.
plans loosely, I think, is your exact phrase, which I've adopted. Hold your plans loosely.
Yes.
Yeah.
We wound up camping across the street from something called Rancho Sordo Mundo, and we didn't know what it was.
You didn't make it very far.
No.
Into Baja. That's by Guadalupe.
Yeah.
You're an hour in.
Yeah. And so got there right at sunset. It was like an orange grove. It was real strange, but we were like, okay, this is fine. I think we're safe. And the next morning, we were like, what do we do with the tire? And so we were like, well, this Rancho Sordo Mundo place, maybe we can ask them. And so we go across the street. It's a school for the deaf and mute. And the director, Luke, takes Doug and leaves to the village to get the tire fixed. And I'm there with, at this point, there's our three kids. Parker, while we had the flat tire, covered himself from head to toe with blue marker. So he looks real strange again. Great kid.
How
and
old?
I think this is our second trip, I think. So 2, 3?
Because at 2, Edward covered himself with brown marker so he'd look like the other kids.
Oh.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like he took a brown, there were those smelly markers.
Yep.
And he covered his whole face as a 2-year-old could, so
Yeah.
he'd look like the other kids.
Yeah.
Anyway, pick it up.
Yeah. So
the Blue Man Group.
Blue Man Group, our kids were all in little matching like fleece, one-colored outfits, so that was probably real strange too. But and we didn't know what to do. So, because the kids didn't speak English, obviously, and they were using Mexican Sign Language.
Yeah, Spanish Sign Language, crazy.
Yeah, and so we just started to play peekaboo and play games, and we were there all day. Like, they fed us peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and the kids, the thing that was so cool is the kids from Rancho Sordo Mundo just swooped up our kids and loved them. And so, like they were carrying Georgia
Mindset
around.
check.
Yeah. And again, it just piqued our interest of like, there's amazing places like this in Baja. Like, how do we find them? And so it just changed to every town we drove into, I was looking for, is there a kids program? Is there an orphanage? Is there anything around? And so it just started us going, maybe this is more than we thought it was. So.
You said something quite powerful in the previous conversation. I wish I had the phrase exactly. You said you're adoptive people, and you're going to an orphanage, which Noah behind the camera over here, he's had a very emotion-filled Overland Expo because he fell in love with a dog.
Yes.
And I have this thing. I've adopted 5-6 dachshunds now. Like, if I go to a dog rescue in Baja, you can be sure if there's a dachshund there or one that appears to be partial dachshund, it's probably coming home with me, and I just have to do some fast talking when I get home. But you might actually, decide that this child is the one that's coming home.
That is a great. Okay.
So you adopted children from China.
Yes.
With some significant medical needs. Can we just kind of come into that background of being adoptive people who are now interacting with with orphanages in Baja?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so
take it away.
Now we have three kids adopted from Baja, and then one
China.
Oh my gosh, yeah, China, not Baja. And one biological
Freudian slip.
And so obviously, like, kids in hard situations are just a big piece of our heart. Because we know where, like, some of the stories of our kids. And so our first experience in Baja was on Christmas Eve, we checked email because you had to go to internet cafes at that point in time.
Yep.
And a friend had emailed us and said, hey, there's an orphanage in Baja, and my parents used to volunteer there, gave the name and the address. And so we were heading home, and it was right on the way. And so we were like, well, I guess maybe we're supposed to stop. And so we stopped with our little minivan at the office of this orphanage. And Doug and I are having this conversation of, like, this is real weird because we're obviously an adoptive family and we're showing up. We don't know how much Spanish or English they speak. And Raven.
So you two are sweating the details.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in the back, our daughter is like, she's 5, and she's like, let me out of the car. Let me out of the car. We think she has to go to the bathroom. So we let her out of the car. I'm getting out of the car behind her, and she runs into the office, pulls herself up over the counter and says, Jesus told us to serve the kids. And we were like, well, there it is.
There it is.
And they were like, great. Let's give you a tour. And we spent about 2 hours there getting a tour, talking about the place. And then they said, why don't you come back and volunteer? And they'd never had a family come before. And it was the last day that we were in Baja, and we were like, I guess we're coming back again. And so we did. The next year we came back and volunteered for a week at this orphanage. And I think that's really when, like, our heart for giving back to Baja really started, was just not only meeting these kids, but meeting these amazing people that work there and pour their lives out to make the lives of these kids better. It was just like, how can we be a part of it? And not how can we be like the heroes in it, but how can we back these people up and support them really well?
And unpack that a little bit, because you spoke eloquently about that in your lecture at Overland Expo. You're straight up. You say, if you need me to clean the toilets, I'm here to help you out, so let me know. And you didn't get taken up on that offer, but you really also came with sort of your American, we have all the answers mindset in check. And so pick it up. How did that week go?
Yeah, well, it was a little clunky to begin with because they'd never had a family volunteer. They'd had individuals volunteer, and we'd never been a family volunteering. And so, like, figuring out,
and
like,
ages of your kids approximately?
5, 4, and 2.
Wow. So they just want you to take care of your family and stay out of the way.
Yeah.
And maybe Doug gets to do something,
that's
right?
exactly
the
it.
expectation.
You have your hands full, Mama.
Yep. You just take care of your kids. And so it took some conversations of, like, well, but we want to help too. And so would it be okay if, we had bubbles? Can I bring bubbles over and our kids can play? Can we bring over paper and markers? And so it was just a lot of, like, but trying to be really humble in it, of, like, not demanding, we're here, so we want this experience with the kids.
For our kids.
Yeah.
Which is also a lot of sort of my interpretation of what volunteering, the way Americans go into volunteering.
Yeah.
We do these nice things for them, but it's really about us.
Yeah, so that we can get the picture and the feel good about ourselves. And
them gets help too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And it's good both sides. So I'm checking my judgments.
Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. But kind of what we found was these amazing house parents so this orphanage, the kids are all in casas. It's all like one big building, but there's 2 house parents that are helping take care of like 12 kids. And they're spread out that way, about a little over 100 kids. And they were desperate for a break. And so it became, oh yeah, you want to do art with these kids? Give those house parents a break? Sure, And so we kind of did this kind of back and forth, learning each other and what would work. Now they have lots of groups come and lots of families come, which is really fun. But like day 4, they were like, we're going to give you a break. Take a half day off. And I don't know if it's because we were working really hard or because they didn't know what to do with us anymore. But we hadn't been to the beach yet. And so we got in our little minivan and we're driving to the beach. And I was like, hey, kids, we're going to do this really cool thing. We're going to the beach. And
this is just your
our family.
Immediate family.
Yeah, immediate
okay.
family.
So you're in your car heading to the beach.
Yeah, crickets. Like the kids are absolutely quiet. And then Raven in the back seat pipes up and says, I want to go back to the orphanage.
The 5-year-old oracle.
Yeah. And we were like, huh? And I said, well, why, honey? And she said, well, because that's where my friends are. And that was really pivotal for me as a mom, to instead of going, oh, we're helping these kids in a really hard situation, it just changed the whole narrative to, these are your friends. And these are our friends in Baja that we get to go and we get to go help and we get to go see them. And just watching our kids naturally lead in that way changed us.
Beautiful.
And like learning to let them lead instead of me always trying to create a teaching moment. And that just followed for years and years and years. We would go and really our kids would start to plan, like, what are we going to do with our friends while we're there? And so one year Raven did a paper airplane party. I think it was when she was 6. She decided she was going to make 100 paper airplanes and bring them down to her friends so that they could have a fun party. And the next year she decided she was going to do hair bows. And so like we told our friends like if they wanted to donate hair bows, and so she did. And I mean, she covered those kids, boys and girls, their heads with hair bows, but it was just fun stuff.
Kids being kids, relating to kids, kids from different lives and different circumstances, feeling equality with their friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Valuable.
Yeah.
Can we leap ahead a little bit to Mr. Gary's dead stuff?
Yeah.
You spent some time, originally your motivation in getting to Baja with your family was like everybody else's, recreation. You know, you want to go fish, you want to windsurf, surf,
kiteboarding,
whatever. You were doing the kiteboarding thing, and so that took you to the East Cape. And pick it up, some of those trips and how they morphed from being about you and having some fun to people you met and things that happened. Somewhat, in my recollection, in rapid succession.
No, you described it well, Michael. I think a big motivation for going down there was we lived in the Columbia Gorge at the time. It's a real mecca for windsurfing and kiteboarding in the summer. And it's pretty cold in the winters, and so many people from that area flee to Baja in the winters. And we had friends who were in La Ventana and had described it to us, and that was a big early motivation for going down. And so our first, I think, 3 trips, we had all the kids and all the gear and all the camping stuff and all the food packed into our little car, plus a bunch of kiteboarding gear.
Sure.
And wetsuits and kites and boards. And so we were really packed out for sure. And one thing about La Ventana, for example, is that it's windy all the time. And that's just wonderful for the sport that it caters to. But when your dad out there kiting all day long and mom is on the beach with kids in diapers and the wind is 25, 30 miles an hour, it's a real mixed experience, I'd say.
That's a kind
well
way
put,
to put
Doug.
It. Well, and we were camped right across the street from a bar.
Oh, sure.
That would play great loud music until about 2 a.m.
Sure.
So
But every year, of course, we'd camp on the way down and camp on the way back. And, one of the beaches, Coyote Beach in Conception Bay, south of Mulege, became a special place for us. And even on our first trip, we were able to rent kayaks from an older gentleman there named Gary. He goes by, people down there call him Raven Gary. He's pretty broadly known. And he's a real character, as many as you meet in Baja. And he had some retired Knowles sea kayaks that we rented from him. So we developed a relationship with him on our first trip. And in subsequent trips, we would stop and we would spend an increasing amount of time on that beach. And at one point, I think after the third trip, we realized, this is actually a great family experience. It's very relaxing. It's a good fit for us right now. And we can kiteboard back home and not have quite that mixed experience in Mexico. So for that season, we decided this is kind of where we wanted to plant our feet for a bigger chunk of time in the winters.
Well, if you want to plant your feet for a bigger chunk of time at Coyote Beach with Mr. Raven, Gary Raven, he's a Raven expert, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Gary's dead stuff is what we're going to get into. You're going to need car insurance because you're going to drive down there. We're going to have a minute to talk about Baja Bound. We'll be right back with Shannon and Doug Miller talking about giving back on Slow Baja. Here at Slow Baja, we can't wait to drive our old Land Cruiser south of the border. And when we go, we'll be going with Baja Bound Insurance. Their website's fast and easy to use. Check them out at bajabound.com. That's bajabound.com. Serving Mexico travelers since 1994. Hey, big thanks to those of you who've contributed to our Baja Baseball project. We launched our gear deliveries on my winter expedition. Michael and Matthew from Barbers for Baja were along for the ride, and we got to deliver that critically needed baseball gear up and down the peninsula. It was really, truly amazing. And on my last trip, I got to go to the state baseball championships and see some of our alums playing, some recipients of the Baja baseball gear deliveries. And congratulations to Guerrero Negro and Mulege. The Austineros and the Cardinalitos won silver and bronze at the state championships. Big stuff. And it was really fun to be there and fun to see them. All right, well, please help us continue this vital work. Make your tax-deductible donation at the Barbers for Baja. Click barbersforbaja.org. Click the Baseball in Baja link, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really do. It is so amazingly gratifying to be able to give these kids this chance to keep playing this sport, keep them on the field, keep them out of trouble. Please check it out. Baseball in Baja link at barbersforbaja.org. Thank you. I want to tell you about these new Rocky Talkie radios that I absolutely love. Heavy duty, beautifully made, easy to program, easy to use. We had 28 people, 15 trucks on the Slow Baja winter expedition. You can hand these radios to anybody from a 14-year-old kid to an 80-year-old, and they'll know how to use it. They are that well designed. One charge lasted the entire week. We are never out of range. I happened to upgrade to the accessory whip antenna for my radio and for my sweeps radio, the Donovan brothers. We were never out of contact. I can't say it strongly enough. Rocky Talkie radios, rockytalkie.com. Check them out. Slow Baja approved. Hey, we're back with Doug and Shannon Miller having a little Italian joke series here. And tell me about those days when you pivoted and you said, okay, it's not about me anymore. It's not about I really want to do this thing that's I'm passionate about, and my family's on a wind-swept, wind-whipped beach. Shannon's inside probably some tent that's flapping over, getting pelted with sand every time they walked out, loud music till 2 o'clock in the morning. And you find this little slice of heaven, frankly. Yeah. And people who are probably going there every year, so there's community. You've got beautiful scenery, beautiful weather, and community. Pick it up from there.
Yeah, so I think it was our third trip that we decided to spend longer at Coyote Beach. And I think we spent a couple of weeks, and then each year we added more till we were staying for 6 weeks at a time on Coyote Beach. And
we'll get into homeschooling later.
Yeah, beach schooling.
Beach schooling.
And because the first couple of trips we were moving so much that you're just like, and we were tent camping, so you're breaking down and packing up and setting up and just all of those things. But we started to make friends on Coyote Beach. Really, it started with Raven Gary, because he had a palapa that said Mr. Gary's dead stuff. And we rented his kayaks, super random, but you find these things in Baja. There's a puppeteer in Baja, by the way.
Wow.
Outside of Mulege. She lives in the middle of nowhere and does puppet shows.
I'm going to need all your Mulege trip.
There you go.
Trip tips. There's a lot to see there.
I don't know if we could find her again, but
Yeah.
she does. Yeah, a full iron bed under the stars in the middle of nowhere. She's great. But Mr. Gary's dead stuff, he's hilarious. He's one of our dear family friends still. And he had a palapa where he had saved whale bones and puffer fish and everything, and our kids loved it. And
so it's a mini museum, hands-on teaching
in a palapa
space. Mm-hmm. And Gary's cool.
Gary's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Gary, like, that relationship morphed into, as we started being there longer, we had to do school. And so the kids' teachers would send their work with them, but we had to figure out science. And so we asked him if he would be their science teacher. And so he created a whole curriculum surrounding Coyote Beach, the tidal flats, gastropods. We have all these videos he would make. It's called
Gary's Galloping
Gastropods, where he would pull gastropods out of the Sea of Cortez into a little container, and he would use a GoPro, and he would video them for hours and then put them back, and then he would speed them up. And at night we would watch them in his RV, and he would teach our kids about like what gastropods do under the water when they get cool.
Amazing.
So our daughter, who's 21, is studying marine biology, really loves gastropods and really cares about conservation. And so
and coming from Central Oregon, without a direct access to the beach and marine biology, you'd wonder where all that came from.
Yeah. It came from hours of Gary walking the beach with our daughter and being so excited for every little shell she picked up and every little thing. He would just celebrate their little broken sun-drenched shells that they would bring and tell them all about them. And so he wrote her college application like letters and things.
Referral letter. Amazing. Amazing. And you were there a bit and found this community, and I really want to pull some stories out of you about Christmas and what was happening and bringing orphanage kids to a beach which they live next to, which they never go to. So let's fast forward right into that experience, because I think that's something, again, like, you don't know where these kids are, where they live and what they experience, and you can make your assumptions, but your assumptions were kind of off a little bit.
Yeah.
Pick it up.
So after, I think it was the third year of volunteering for a week each year at this orphanage further north in Vicente, Guerrero.
Vicente Guerrero.
And we'd start bringing our friends and all of these things. Like, it was always such a meaningful experience. And then we would hightail it down to the Sea of Cortez. Yeah, for the vacation
For your
piece.
vacation. Got to have a vacation.
Yeah. And we got there. And
you're not wired to have vacations. You're wired to serve.
Yeah. And we're sitting there on this beach with all of these retired friends, like dear friends of ours now, with their big rigs and kayaks and paddle boards and all this stuff. And we knew them well and knew that they had good hearts, and started thinking, like, what would happen if we could, like, combine an orphanage experience with Coyote Beach. And so we had gotten to know Laura, who runs Casa Hogar in Mulege, and just kind of said, so we had been there a couple of times, said, hey, could we do a day where we brought the kids to the beach? And talked to all the people camping there, and they were open to sharing their kayaks. And so at this point we had a Ford Expedition and a real janky old trailer that we were bringing down with us. And so I brought it to Casa Hogar, and they piled all the kids, like 20 of them, into the expedition.
Sure. Seatbelts. There's 20 seatbelts in that.
Absolutely.
Right, child seats. You betcha.
I drove real carefully.
We had tread on all four tires. That's a good start.
Yeah.
And
That's
working headlights and taillights. So we'll go for there.
Yeah.
All right.
And, Coyote Beach is maybe a half an hour from Mulege, but at about the 20-minute mark, you come around a corner by Santa's Pack and you see the Sea of Cortez.
It's a gorgeous view.
Yeah. And these kids who had lived 20 minutes from this view started yelling, Lamar, Lamar, and they're freaking out. And I'm like, oh gosh, don't stand up. But they had never seen the Sea of Cortez before. And we get to Coyote Beach and they run out of the car fully clothed into the ocean. And they don't know how to swim, and so...
Are they shuffling feet to get
No, they still had shoes on. And so the whole community was waiting for them. They knew we were bringing them, and so it started this chaos of, like...
Mass rescue.
Yeah. All the adults are in the water making sure the kids aren't drowning, and, like, everybody's just launching their, like, kayaks and their paddleboards as fast as possible. And the kids stayed all day, and... it just broke down all these barriers of, Mr. Gary's teaching a kid from Casa Hogar how to kayak. And our friend Bill, Banyo Bill, is in the water with kids, like just having fun and splashing. And our friend Roy came in with Santa Claus for the day, and just all these things. Azure showed up.
I heard the story from Azure. She's there with her boyfriend, and they've got motorcycles. They're giving kids rides on motorcycles.
Yeah,
is that right?
on the beach.
Do I have that right?
Yeah, in the parking lot-ish part of the beach. And so it just was this thing that blew all of our expectations out of the water. And so we did it again and again, and it actually happened even when we couldn't be there for about a decade until... Casa Hogar is figuring out some stuff with the kids and everything, but it became the thing that everybody looked forward to every year.
Santa Claus at the beach. Good times. Doug's nodding his head. So, those experiences, Doug, you checked your need to windsurf. You found this amazing community.
Yep.
You're interacting with Casa Hogar in Mulege, bringing kids out to the beach. Pick it up from there.
Yeah.
It seems like everywhere you go, you're finding a new project.
Yeah. Well, I think it just, the more you find things, the more you have eyes to see. But really, one of the times that we went down, I was super stressed out. We learned because we were then doing homework with kids in a tiny trailer, which is a whole thing, that we needed to tap each other out. When we could read when one of us was getting stressed out. So I was stressed. Doug gave me a drink and said, go walk the beach. So I'm walking the beach and I'm wrestling with the idea of just sitting in vacation, which is good, and everything that we had experienced, and what are we supposed to do with all of it, because it stirs up all this stuff in you of all kinds of things. And so I met a couple that was walking their dog, and we started talking, and they said, oh, we just got back from this Pacific trip. You should come to our house and see the video, which seems like a weird thing in America. You don't just go into a stranger's house and watch a video. But I did, and they invited us to, actually they hadn't just come from it, they had just made a video from the one last year, and they're like, we're going next week, you guys should come. And what it is a week-long trip that goes on the Pacific side to 14 different fishing villages and goat ranches, and is Santa Claus. And the
Mobile Santa bringing gifts.
Mobile Santa in
to the
Crocs.
most remote spots.
Yeah. But the background of it is, yes, there is Santa Claus with donated stuffed animals and things and toothbrushes, but the people who spoke Spanish on the trip would meet with the teachers, the principals, the pastors of churches, anyone who was kind of a local leader, and see what that town needed. And then would go down to La Paz and talk to the government officials and say, hey, this school flooded and their floor isn't working right. Or there's a disabled person who needs adult diapers. And they would get all of the things and do the trip in reverse to give the towns what they needed.
What they needed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
So they went and advocated and came back with the goods.
The things that they needed, yeah.
Wow. I'm just going to let that sink in for a minute. Let's talk about your nuclear family. Tell me about your kids and how they came into your lives and some of the needs that they had. And again, people go to Baja and they think they need a vehicle that's built for the Terminator, that can go anywhere, do anything, and never ever have to interact with humanity. So, you've been there, and it's been an evolution, but you've been there in a minivan packed to the gills and other things. But you're also there with kids, sort of fresh out of open heart surgery, children you've adopted from China. You're pushing some boundaries that most people would say, "What the heck? What are you two doing?"
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What are we doing? That's a really good question. Our 3 kids from China all have pretty significant medical stuff. So one has a platelet disorder, so a form of hemophilia, and 2 have heart conditions. So one of our trips, Georgia had just been 2 months out of open heart surgery. So
just
so
too much.
her
Just
chest
too
was
much.
still
2 months
healing.
out of open heart surgery, and you're off to Baja.
Because it's good for family bonding. But this is what I will say.
Can you say that one more time?
Because
it's
it's
good for family bonding.
It is.
Yeah. This face. She's not kidding.
I'm not
the
kidding.
smile is legit. These eyes are legit.
But
we're all going to be crying here before the end of this podcast.
But I will say we have an amazing medical team. We never go to Baja without conversations with each of their specialists to say, are they stable enough? And what happens if something happens while they're down there? And so OHSU, when Raven was littler and we were still figuring out her platelet disorder, they actually had a translator on call. So if we needed something, that they would be ready to talk with the hospitals in Baja. And we have the most robust first aid kit on the planet all the time.
That is true.
And Doug, do you have any special training on that? Or Shannon, do you have any special training on that? I mean, you've had to evolve personally to be ready.
Yeah. I was a backpacking guide in Colorado, and so had my wilderness first aid. And so that's helpful, but it's also our doctors, they're so great. Our cardiologist is hey, when can I come with you? And so we talk through all the scenarios, and they've talked me through, this is what happens if this. And so, sorry, am I talking with my hands too much?
No, it's chopping the wood here.
Whoops. It's one of those things. But they
love it all.
So they work with us in all of it. So, the second year that we brought Georgia down, we did the Pacific trip, and we camped at the goat ranches and fishing villages. So we get to this goat ranch, and it's this deep in goat poop where we're supposed to camp, and I kind of lost it at that point, and was she's so young, she plays in the dirt, I can't do this. And it was really great. Doug was really great, and we actually pivoted. It was in La Purísima, right?
Yeah, it was.
And so we found a little hotel and stayed there instead. And so there are moments where you have to kind of weigh it all, but the experience is for our kids. I mean, Georgia wants to go into the medical field. She's a senior in high school, and part of it is her own experience. She wants to be in some sort of a medical field where she can be with people long term and show them compassion, kids. And part of it's because of what she's seen in Baja too. And so just the things that have kind of sewn into our kids that we didn't know. We're just fumbling around going, maybe we'll go back again next year. It's so deeply
Parker's
a part of him.
Parker's going back on his own at 19, right?
Yeah. All the time.
In vehicles that aren't perfect,
right,
without full plans and figuring it out.
Yeah.
Figuring it out.
Finding the best tacos.
And, stoking the stoke in others.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that it seems to me you've done that with your community. You've brought a lot of people there.
Yeah.
So you've inspired others through your own travels and your own heart, leading with your heart. Shannon, we're just going to put you on a little soapbox to talk about your new role. Last time I saw you were talking about going to this new job. You're in the new job.
In the new
Executive
job.
Director of?
A nonprofit called World's Children.
Okay.
And been there about a year. And it's this amazing little nonprofit that started in 1965. And it was started by a pastor and his wife. They lost a baby, and they wanted to create a living memorial and they started looking for different areas where kids were in really vulnerable situations and trying to help them. So that's what World's Children does, is we remove barriers to education for kids in vulnerable situations. So food security, shelter, education, and emotional care. But we work with local leaders. So same thing that we've done in Baja is finding people doing good work and saying, how can we help you? And so we're in India, Africa, Baja, and Ukraine.
Amazing. If you were going to advise the Slow Baja audience, and just, if somebody wanted to get involved, listening to the show, they're inspired. Yeah. I often wonder if overlanders can be a source for good. I think overlanders, having just been at the show, not making sweeping judgments or generalizations, but I do think that maybe overlanders, in a sweeping generalization, freely admitting here, maybe are a little bit introverted, and they build these rigs that can go anywhere and do anything and have all the technology, and they do all the research and plan the route and have the spreadsheet and the whole thing, so they don't have to really interact with the humans who are in these places. And I kind of wonder about what happened if they had your experience where they interacted. The first tire change leads to Rancho Sordo Mundo, and then all of a sudden one thing leads to another, and your kids are learning sign language and Spanish, or at least just blowing bubbles at each other with other kids, and realizing that kids are kids, and people are people all over the world. What advice would you have for somebody, and we're Baja centric here, just how does somebody easily kind of get out of their shell, their comfort zone, and step out and help others or get involved in something?
Sure, I'll start. Just a couple of ideas. First of all, much of what we described, I would say, comes much more naturally to Shannon than it did for me. And so many of these situations she's described, I was scared to death and felt completely awkward and out of place. And I've learned by exposing myself to those situations that it pays to be courageous. It pays to step outside of our comfort zone. The other thing I've learned is to partner with people who are already doing these things. Find people who, like, we found this group that was already going on the Pacific coast and visiting these towns, which gave us the courage to do it, but also they had relationships in all of these towns already. So it was a much richer experience than we may have felt otherwise. And so I think that's probably a couple of things I've learned. And then one other idea is, that some of the things we've talked about line up well with our passions, our interests. Working at an orphanage obviously connects with our heart for orphans, and we have adopted in our family. But, Michael, some of the things you're doing through your passion with baseball. We have friends who are serving potentially through prosthesis, because they're prostheticians who are retiring.
Sprague and
Natalia,
lovely people.
Cool.
Lovely people.
Our friend Fred is a retired veterinarian, and he's volunteered for years.
You've got some Baja dogs.
Yeah. So think about what is comfortable. What are things about your passions that can be shared, and that, I think, makes it a lot easier too.
Shannon, wrap it up.
So this is gonna sound funny, but go slow. So that's pitch for Slow Baja, but not really. But really, like, slow down. And show up. So it means, like, at a taco stand, actually try to have enough Spanish to have a little conversation. Pull out your phone and use Google Translate to say, thank you for your tacos. How are you? And then I'd say do a little research and ask people, how can I help? So I really strongly believe in helping local leaders that are helping their community, their culture, because they know and understand where we can come in and think, oh, this place needs to be painted, or these kids need better clothes or things, and we can be so far off the mark of what actually moves the needle for them. But yeah, I mean, I'm a reference, Doug's a reference. World's Children has sites in Baja, so if there's something that people are wanting to help and not sure how, contact an organization that is doing stuff.
So in the show notes, there'll be a few organizations that Doug and Shannon have referenced the website for your organization where they can see the work
Yeah.
you're doing around the world. That's some powerful stuff.
Yeah, it's worldschildren.org.
All right. And if you want to get in touch with Doug and Shannon, you can DM me at Slow Baja through the contact link, slowbaja.com. I can put you in touch if you want to talk to them about some of those things. And in the show notes for this show, there will be some links that you can see Casa Hogar, Rancho Sordo Mundo, and some of the other things that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Really a delightful morning. Thanks for having us.
Can I say one more thing?
Of course you can.
So having just been in Africa, and then, we've spent a lot of time in Baja at these sites, these are some of the most phenomenal humans on the planet that are using their life to make the lives of children better. And almost no one visits them, and almost no one says, I see you, and man, you're doing good work, and can I just do a little bit to help? And it goes so far for them because they're literally using their whole life to do it. And so if we show up, and maybe you're introverted and not comfortable being the one who actually shows up at the spot, that's okay. Do a donation and write a letter, or show up and drop off beans and rice. They're all working on a deficit. They all struggle to feed the kids. So showing up in some way encourages these people to keep going.
A quick grocery run.
Yeah.
I mean, we challenged the folks on the Slow Baja winter, $500 and 500 pounds of dog food for Rick Howe's dog rescue. And you know what? People rose to the occasion. They're fired up to do it. And it just all it took was asking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Others are doing it. We're doing it. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it just moves the needle so far. We think $500 is, not that much maybe, but that's half of a food budget for some of our spots.
And among 20 people, it's not that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Well, Shannon, really a delight. I'm sorry we didn't get to crying on this one.
It's okay.
All right. Thanks again. It's been a delightful
Thank you.
morning at your house here in Sisters, Oregon. Shug and Dannon.
It's all good.
Shally from Cali. And Doug Miller, thanks for making time.
Thanks, Michael.
Hey, well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I hope it inspires you to get out and do some good work or make a donation if you've got some tacos jingling in your pocket. I'm still doing stuff there with BajaBaseball.org. We're bringing baseball gear down to kids, helping coaches keep kids on the field. Frank has had enough of this chat. He wants to go, so I'm going to wrap it up and tell you about my friend Mary McGee. Mary McGee, Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Famer, the first person to solo the Baja 500 on a motorcycle. That's right, that Mary McGee. Well, she had a pal, Steve McQueen. Steve loved Baja, and he said, Mary, Baja's life. Anything that happens before or after is just waiting. People always ask me, what's the best modification that I've ever made to Slow Baja? Without a doubt, it's my Shieldman seats. Toby at Shieldman USA could not be easier to work with. He recommended a Vario F for me and a Vario F XXL for my navigator Ted, as Ted's kind of a big guy. And Toby was absolutely right. The seats are great and they fit both of us perfectly. And let me tell you, after driving around Baja for over a year on these seats, I could not be happier. Shieldman, Slow Baja approved. Learn more and get yours at shieldman.com. I'm all about keeping things simple, traveling light, and finding the really good stuff. And that's why I've been wearing iron and resin for years. It's not just clothes. It's gear that holds up in the dust, the salt, the spilled tacos, and still looks good when you roll into town. Made in small batches by folks who care, no flash, no fast fashion, just the kind of stuff that gets better the more you wear it. Check them out at ironandresin.com and pick up something that'll last the next 1,000 miles.